generations. And now, the power of two restores the one.
We got a bidet! Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I want to give my thoughts on the new Goosebumps show that is now out on Disney Plus and Hulu. It is not the entire season quite yet. I thought it was, and I'm glad that it was not. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give you some of my thoughts on the series so far to see if it's something for you to go ahead and check out. And then also keep up week to week to see if it is something for you. But before I get into that, I want to kind of give my little background on what Goosebumps is to me. So I grew up when, Goosebumps was hot. Like when the original books were coming out, they had the show on TV, all that good stuff. I read a handful of the books, definitely not all of them because there's tons and tons of them. And I watched a good chunk of the original VHS tapes that had the episodes. I have not seen all of the original Goosebumps show, like all the TV episodes. I think they're on some streaming network, maybe Netflix or something. I have not seen all of them. I would love to see all of them someday. But I did see all the main ones that were released on VHS at that time. So some of the big ones, Stay Out of the Basement, The Haunted Mask 1 and 2, Night in Terror Tower, all the Night of the Living Dummy ones, and the Escape from Horrorland. I watched that one as well. Those are the ones that come to mind right away. So I'm somewhat familiar, I got a pretty good background on Goosebumps. I've also seen the newer movies with Jack Black. I did enjoy the first one quite a bit. Second one was all right. I think the first one was better. I have also played a handful of the video games as well. So I have a decent knowledge of, Goosebumps and, what it is. So now that you know kind of what my background is, you know what you're kind of in for, let's talk about the show. I'm not going to do a breakdown per se of all the episodes, but I am going to point some things out. So like first glance, when I was going to, go ahead and watch the show, I noticed that all of the episodes were titled after some of the books, at least most of them. I don't know about the last one. But the first four, I think it was like Go Eat Worms, Haunted Mask, the Cuckoo Clock one, and there was one other one that Say Cheese and Die. That was the other one. That was one of the titles that I'm for sure know that was one of the books in the past. The fifth one, I'm not sure. It was called Reader Beware, I think. And I know that's like the tagline for Goosebumps, but I don't think that was one of the books. But if it is, great. If not, whatever. So this show is basically a high school drama. It is going to revolve around kids in some way because Goosebumps is a kid's book, technically young adult. And what's interesting about the show is like you watch the first episode and then you kind of find out with the other episodes that a lot of the stuff that is happening is just a different angle of what's happening. So like you watch the first episode, you know what happens, and then the second episode like starts off like midway through the first episode, but from a different character's point of view that we did not focus on in the previous episode. So we kind of like build this entire story around what's going on. Now, my biggest question for the show, like when I saw the different titles of the books was, are we getting like one-offs like we did in the past, or is this going to be some sort of cohesive story with maybe some influences from, these books? And it's the latter of the two. We are getting basically a story that they've written, like an original story, and then there's some like influences of Goosebumps throughout. So prime example, the one that I focused on the most because it was my favorite Goosebumps growing up was the Haunted Mask. So I think it's the second episode that is called the Haunted Mask. It is not about Carly Beth. It is not about a green mask. It's actually the mask right here in the picture. We do see the mask referenced in the first episode, but we don't actually find out that it's the quote-unquote haunted mask until the second episode. Some of the big things from the original were the more that you use it, the more it becomes attached to you. And also, like the reason for the mask in the original was, Carly Beth wanted some revenge, and so she wanted to scare some people on Halloween. Whereas here, yes, it is used to get back at people, but it doesn't necessarily follow what's going on with the books. So the idea of what's happening with the mask is used in the show, but not necessarily the stuff that we learned from the books, which is fine. That's kind of a way to be original and, still have the Goosebumps influence. That's kind of how most of these go. I have not seen the Cuckoo Bird Clock episode from the originals or read the book. That one was kind of like a Groundhog Day scenario where character kept replaying the day until it was, what they wanted, and then there were some repercussions. Don't Eat Worms, that was an interesting one. Or Go Eat Worms, I think maybe it's called. That had a cool twist to it. But when all these episodes come together at the end of the 5th episode, there is a major cliffhanger. I don't want to give it away 100%, but needless to say, there's a very popular character that has not made an appearance yet and probably will be in the weeks to come. My thoughts on this series as a Goosebumps series. It is, in my opinion, there's some pretty adult moments in this. There's blood in this show, I can tell you that. And I'm pretty sure there was some injury grossness going on in one, I think it's the first episode, that might make some people, squirm a little bit. I was fine, but some people are different. So there's definitely some more teen themes as far as content. I don't know if this is necessarily for like elementary school kids or something like that. I think it's geared more towards like middle school, high school, especially since the setting is in high school. I don't really think I would. This is kind of hard to say since it's only the first half of the season, but so far it doesn't really feel like Goosebumps quite yet. It feels like a story, that centers around some kids and scary things are happening. But as far as like Goosebumps, it's kind of iffy so far for me. My guess is that moving forward, it's going to have more of a Goosebumps influence, just because of, like I said, there's some key characters that haven't made an appearance yet, that should be very soon. And there's some, I have optimism for the second half, because I feel like the story that they've created is pretty strong. It's interesting. I was, pulled in from the get-go, and I look forward to the rest of the episodes. Yeah, so it like I said, doesn't quite feel like Goosebumps like it had in the past, but this is just a different flair. I think it works, but I am curious to see where it goes, needless to say. So I would recommend watching the show if you're a fan of Goosebumps, if you're a fan of light-hearted, scary stories. It's not geared towards adults per se, even though me as an adult, I enjoy it. It's geared towards young adults. So think about the kind of content that's going to be in there. It's probably going to be somewhere around like a PG rated scary movie kind of a thing. Maybe a hint of PG-13. So that was my thoughts on the Goosebumps show, episodes 1 through 5. Looking forward to the rest of them. I would recommend watching it. just because it's a cool little show to watch here in October. And then follow it moving forward. If you enjoyed this type of video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you are notified when more show and movie discussions drop. Drops a like if you like the video and drops a comment letting us know your thoughts on Goosebumps so far, episodes 1 through 5. And then, as always, everybody, thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.